Jai Gurudev, Jai Masters. There is a state of freedom, of liberation. It's not a philosophy. It's a state of being. Every human is capable of achieving that state. There is nothing in life, nothing that comes close to that state. It is the source of all joy, all love, all peace, all God, everything. The problem is, to achieve that state, to be that, you must cease to be that which it is not. If I look at a particular card of a particular color, and there are other cards of other colors, but I only look at the one card of that color, the other things might as not be there. If I am not conscious of them, they don't exist. They have no influence on me. I don't have to renounce them. They're nothing. If I put my consciousness on another card, then the previous card is gone. I experience where my consciousness is. That is always the truth. You experience where your consciousness is. If your consciousness, awareness of being, is on something other than your liberated state, something other than the source of joy, love, peace, God, then you don't know it's there. Just like you don't know the other cards are there when you're staring at one in particular. How does one go about freeing themselves? There are 7 billion techniques. There are lots of philosophies. But I'm telling you, when it comes down to it, if you want to explore and take the chance that there are more cards than the one you're looking at, you have to stop looking at the one you're looking at. There's no other way. That is what Christ meant when he said you must die to be reborn. If you wish to see another state of your being, to be reborn into another state of your being, you must cease to pay attention to the one you're paying attention to now. You must die of one state to be born in the other. It's rather dramatic, talk about dying. If you're looking at a given card of a given color, I don't really have to say you have to kill your awareness of that card. I can just say you have to cease to be staring at that card if you ever wish to see something else. You must withdraw your awareness, your attention, from one thing in order to be free to be aware of something else. So I could sit all day, I wouldn't mind, telling you about the beauty that exists inside of you, about the intoxicating flow of your higher bodies. But what is the purpose of that if you're not going to stop looking at your lower bodies? So to me, the entire path is to learn to cease to be addicted to staring at your lower bodies. Period. The rest happens by itself. If I stop staring at one particular card of one particular color, and there are cards all around of other colors, you don't need to tell me how to see the other cards. It's effortless. The moment my awareness is ceasing to focus on this one card in a fixated, addicted way, and it is freed from staring at that card, it's going to see other cards. It's going to see what else is there. But while it is staring at that card, it will not see what else is there. And that's all that's going on. There are great states inside of you. If you are trying to find them, you are wasting your time. Because while you are staring at the one card, let's just carry the analogy a little further, you are staring at one card. It's red, and you're just totally addicted to red, and you're staring at the card. And somehow you manage to hear that there's this thing called other cards. It's mystical, but there was a rumor out there that somebody saw other cards. All right? You can think all you want while you're staring at the red card, whether there are other cards, whether you believe there are other cards, how to see the other cards, what technique. Let's do alternate breathing while we're staring at red. Maybe that will help us see the other cards. Until you are ready, willing, and able to withdraw your consciousness from staring at the red card, it's all philosophy. It's all talk. It's all in your head. You will never experience it. You will go nowheres. So the entire spiritual path is about detachment. Detaching your consciousness from what it is attached to. Because what it is attached to now is very limited. Therefore, you can't see the rest. All right? What is my consciousness attached to? I give you this talk all the time. I'll give it to you slightly different today. In truth, what your consciousness is addicted to, is attached to, is fixated on, are your thoughts and your emotions. I normally would say the outside world, but you'll go deep enough to understand it's not true. You are not addicted to the outside world. You are not fixated on the outside world. You are addicted and fixated on your thoughts and your emotions. Why? Because if your thoughts and your emotions are not pleasant, they are not fun to be with. If your thoughts and emotions are pleasant, they are more fun to be with. But either way, you are staring at your thoughts and emotions. If your thoughts and emotions are very tumultuous and they are bothering you, I guarantee you are staring at them. People that are depressed, you think, why do you want to hang out with depression? That's right where they hang out. All of their consciousness gets completely buried in it. It pulls it into it, doesn't it? So disturbing psychological states, mental and emotional, draw your consciousness into them until that's your entire focus, just like staring at the red card. You're staring at depression. You're staring at jealousy. You're staring at disturbance. You're staring at need. So if the psyche is disturbed, you stare at it. If the psyche is elated, your mind is very excited about something, your heart has fallen in love, you stare at that too. You like staring at that. There's no way if you just fell in love, you're feeling all this joy and wonder inside of yourself, there's no way you're going to take your consciousness off of that. You want your consciousness on that. So both a state of disturbed mind and emotion and a state of a nice psychological mind and emotion, your consciousness is addicted to these. It hangs out with these. It is fixated on these. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the red card either, except for the fact that there are many other different colored cars. So to stare at the red one and say, well, what's wrong with the red one? Nothing's wrong with the red one. Nothing. It is just that you are missing everything else. So you're not having a full experience. You're having a fixated experience. It is exactly the same with the state of your mind and the state of your emotions. If you stare at your disturbed psyche and blog about it and get into it and talk about it and make it the center of your life, you have limited your life to red. I got a nice analogy going. I'm going to use it. You have limited your life to that because that's what you're paying attention to. There are 800 billion zillion other things, aren't there? But you don't see them and you don't know them and you don't experience them because your disturbed psyche has pulled you into it. Likewise, if the psyche gets elated about something, same thing. There are 800 billion zillion other things going on, but you don't see them. And there's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with red. There's nothing wrong with these different sensations and emotions and thoughts. Nothing. But to become fixated on them to where they become your entire world, you're missing everything else. But not only are you missing other emotions and thoughts, you are missing other states of your being. While you are staring at your mind and your emotions, and you are completely involved, enchanted, and entranced by what your mind is saying, what your emotions are feeling, I am telling you, there are entire other states of your being that are way beyond your mind, your emotions. And they happen to be beautiful, right? There are higher states that don't manifest as thoughts and emotions. Normally, the mind has to become still, the heart has to become still for you to not be attached. Let me just say it this way. Why do they teach you to get to the higher states? You must learn to still your mind and still your emotions. Because a still mind and still emotions are not very entertaining. They're not very addicting. They don't draw you into them. And because the mind isn't drawing your consciousness into it, the consciousness is free to look elsewhere. It gets drawn elsewhere. Just like if you are not staring at the red, you see everything else. If you are not staring at your mind and your emotions, I am telling you, you will find ecstasy. That is how Buddha went to nirvana. That is what Christ meant by the kingdom is within you, with heaven. Your inner state, your deep inner state, is gorgeous, it's beautiful. It's a river of joy, of love, of overwhelming bliss flowing through your being every second of your life. That is going on inside of you right now. Just literally waves, throngs of overwhelming joy beyond anything you've ever felt, beyond your intimate experiences, beyond your winning experiences, beyond anything you've ever felt, beyond holding your child for the first time. Just take the most perfect moments you ever had, multiply them times 1,000,000, and have them going on inside of you all the time. That is your natural state. But nobody knows it. Why? Because they're staring at their psyche. And they're staring at their emotions and their thoughts. And because they are staring at their emotions and their thoughts, they are not going to experience anything else. And because you're staring at your emotions and your thoughts, they become the centerpiece of your life. What does that mean? Now let's bring the outside world in, because I haven't talked about the outside world yet. I told you, I'm challenging you, I like to challenge you. You don't care one hoot about the outside world. You care about your thoughts and your emotions. The fact is, however, that the outside world affects your thoughts and your emotions, doesn't it? That's why you care about the outside world. Because you have noticed that if somebody walks up to you that is handsome or pretty and other people are impressed with them and they walk up to you in public and they start saying really, really nice things to you, oh my God, you're the apple of my eye. You're the beginning and end of my entire existence. And everybody's listening and, oh, you feel good inside, don't you? The outside can affect your thoughts and your emotions. And also if somebody says terrible things while other people are around, it really affects your thoughts and your emotions, doesn't it? You have noticed that what goes on out there affects what goes on in here. I'm telling you, it's terrible. That's why you care about what's going on out there. If your husband or wife or girlfriend, I'll be nice, girlfriend or boyfriend left you, and when they said they were leaving you, you felt ecstasy. I mean, just like waves of joy opened up in your heart. It was the music to your ears. It was just, oh my God, it's exactly what you wanted to hear. You say, can I help you pack? All right. If on the other hand, it sent you into depression, you'd grab and try to hold on. What you care about is your inner state. You live in here. This is your house. Of course, that's what you care about. You live in your psyche and in your emotions. Therefore, the outside world affects your psyche and your emotion. By the way, you don't have to live in your psyche and your emotions. It is what you are staring at. You are staring at your psyche, your mind, and your emotions. So because you are staring and fixated on your mind and your emotions, when the outside world changes and it affects your mind and your emotions, you care. And so what you end up doing is living the following life. I am addicted to staring at red, meaning my mind and my emotions. The outside world affects the card I'm staring at, affects my mind and my emotions. Therefore, in order to have a nice relationship with my mind and my emotions, which I'm addicted to, I need to do things outside so that when the outside comes in, it makes the mind and emotions be nice. And I'm telling you, if you aren't careful, you will spend your entire life doing that, exactly that. And everyone will encourage you to do that. Your whole society will encourage you to do that. Your parents will encourage you to do that. Everyone will encourage you to do it because they don't know any better. They don't understand that if what you care about is your thoughts and your emotions, you should be working with your thoughts and your emotions. You should not be working with every person you meet and every weather pattern and every thing that's going on outside in the past, present, and future to try and hope that they unfold in a way that make your thoughts and emotions be the way you want. You've just ceded control of your life to the weather. You understand that? You can get all upset because it's cold or it's hot. You literally could move because it's humid and give up a really good job. And maybe your spouse doesn't want to go with you. Okay, that's it for the spouse because I don't like the frizzy hair and I'm going to Arizona. People do weird things to get what they want and avoid what they don't want. What does that mean, what I want and what I don't want? What makes your mind feel good or happy, peaceful, contented, and what makes your heart feel better versus what makes it worse. That's how you decide what you want or don't want. You don't decide what you want or don't want. Don't you kid yourself. If your heart starts hurting, you don't want it. If your mind starts bothering you, you don't want it. If your heart starts opening up and feeling really good, I want it. If your mind starts saying really, really nice things and it really turns you on, I want it. It is your mind and your heart that determine what you like and dislike. It is your mind and your heart that tell you how you want the outside world to be. You are appeasing your addiction to your mind and your heart. And if you are not careful, you will spend the rest of your life doing exactly that. You would just go out and attempt to manipulate people, places, and things around you so that they be the way you need them to be, so that when they come in, your mind says nice things and your heart feels nice things. And when they come in, your mind doesn't get all freaked out and the heart doesn't get all freaked out. Well, you got yourself a job. You just took on quite a job. What do you mean? You took on a job of making the universe as it unfolds in front of you match what your mind and your heart feel. Good luck. Good luck, because you're not running the universe. You are not determining what is unfolding in front of you. The forces of creation are determining what's unfolding in front of you. And if you're only going to be okay when the things unfolding in front of you, when they come in, make your mind feel good, make your heart feel good, you're not going to be okay. You're just going to struggle. You're going to struggle with everything as it unfolds. You're going to worry, have anxiety. All kinds of junk's going to go on because you've decided the world unfolding in front of me needs to be the way that makes my mind feel good and my heart feel good. Why would it do that? It just doesn't even make sense. And the part that really blows me away, even if you want to argue, well, shouldn't I be trying to make the moment in front of me be the way I want? You can do whatever you want. All I know is I could spend as much energy, every bit of energy, time, and planning to try and get the moment to be the way I want. You know what it does? It leaves. Not a single moment stands still. It's like a motion picture. It's not a still shot. I turn around, there's another moment. I got the wedding exactly the way I want. And now the honeymoon's got to be right, and then the kid's got to be right, and this got to be right. And oh my God, and nothing better happened any moment. Oh my God, no wonder we're neurotic. You can't possibly win. It's absurd. So you come back and realize, you work your way backwards, and you come back to the real work, which is the problem is not what the world is doing in front of you. The problem is not the weather. The problem is not your ex-husband that doesn't even live in the same town as you anymore. The problem is not these things. The problem is that you're having a problem with your mind and your heart. And you are staring at them, and because they are having a problem, you are having a problem. And you're trying to solve it by getting the outside world to be a certain way. Now, there's two ways you can deal with this. One is to say, I want to get my mind so it's nice. I want to get my mind so it doesn't bother me. I want to get my heart so it stays open and it doesn't bother me. That is a very legitimate realm to work in. But I am not going to cop out and teach you less than the deepest thing there is. That is not the deepest thing to do. That will not lead to liberation. What? To try and make your mind be nice and try to make your heart be nice. It's called sattvic. The Gita, they talk about tamas, rajak, sattvic. These are states of nature and states of your inner being. And that's why the Bhagavad Gita is as deep as it is. It doesn't teach that what you should be doing is making everything sattvic, pure, peaceful, etc. It doesn't teach that. It teaches what I'm about to teach, which is the problem is not what the world is doing. And the problem is not that what the world is doing is disturbing your mind and disturbing your heart. The problem is that you are addicted to staring at red. If you are not addicted to staring at your mind and your heart, guess what? It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't matter what the red is doing. If the red needs to temporarily lay down and take a rest while I'm looking at 43 other flavors, what do I care? If the red wants to lay down and take a rest while I'm staring at it, it's like I'm attached to it. It's my whole being. I'm dying. Come back. Don't, I'm melting. If your consciousness is lost in one object, watch a TV show that you're completely engulfed in. I mean, I'm completely gone, and have someone turn off the TV. You go crazy because you are addicted. Your consciousness is resting on this. Your consciousness is resting on the mind and the emotions, your mind and your emotions. While it's doing that, you own it. So you got to try and make it nice. When your consciousness is no longer resting on your mind and your emotions, you mean it's capable of not resting on your mind? Of course it's capable of not resting on your mind and emotions. That's like someone saying, you mean I don't have to watch the soaps every day? Of course you don't have to watch the soaps every day. You mean I don't have to smoke after dinner? No, you don't have to smoke after dinner. You don't have to do anything. You're a free being. If you let yourself be, there's no way you have to watch the soaps. The problem is you're addicted to watching the soaps, and that's why you think you have to watch the soaps. You do not have to smoke after dinner. You're addicted to smoking after dinner, and that's why you think you have to smoke after dinner. If you're on heroin addict, you do not have to do a hit of heroin. You are addicted to doing heroin, and therefore it is difficult to not do it. It is exactly the same with your psyche. You're telling me I don't have to be staring at the melodrama of my own thoughts and the melodrama of my own emotions? That's right, you don't have to. You are the one who's staring at it. You do not have to be staring at it. You're staring at it for the exact same reason that you have to take your smoke after dinner or the heroin addict has to take their hit. Because you are not comfortable with it and you don't know how to let go of it, so now you need to fix it. All right? And by the way, when that heroin addict takes his hit, what do they call it? A fix. Don't they? Okay? He has to get his fix. That means exactly what it sounds like it means. I have a problem. This is going to fix it. And that's exactly what you do with your problem in your thoughts and your emotions. All right. Under those conditions, you're going to stay addicted to your thoughts and your emotions. There is such a thing as not being addicted to your thoughts and emotions. And that is the path I want to teach you. I want you to know the highest. The concept of fixing the world so it doesn't disturb your mind, if you still think that works, you shouldn't have come out here. You should be out there doing everything you think you need to do to try and get the people you want and the job you want and the house you want and the car you want and everything. And come back later when you find out it didn't work. Because it hasn't worked for anybody ever. It can't. All you're doing is trying to use the outside so that when it comes in, the mind doesn't complain. And maybe even it says, I like it. And for the heart to not close, but to open. Fine. How long does it last? It doesn't last very long. Get the new car. How long does the new car turn you on more than the old one did? A short period of time. Get a new house. And how long before the new house and the problems of the new house are just bigger than the problems with the old house? It is not true that these things are going to continue to turn your mind on and your heart on. The only way to achieve a permanent state of well-being is to stop hanging out with the temporal, is to stop hanging out with the parts of you that can open and close. So if you think the world coming and matching your mind and heart are the solution to your problem, have fun, you're wrong. If you think fixing the mind and the heart so they're nicer and they say nicer things is a solution to your problem, it is definitely a solution compared to what you're doing now, but it is not liberation. Why is it not liberation? Why is it not the highest state? Because you are staring at your mind and your heart. You are devoting your entire life to trying to make your mind and your heart feel better. You used to do it by making people talk nicely to you, by winning, by getting awards, by whatever it is that you did to try and turn yourself on. Now you do it by positive thinking and doing this and different techniques and be careful where you go and what you read. Just very nice things, very sattvic things. That's the word, sattvic, pure, right? But you're still working with your mind and your heart. You are still completely 100% of the time working with your mind and your heart. Now, don't get me wrong. It is very good that you do those things. Because in the state most people are at, which is almost everybody, if they don't do those things, their mind and their heart is a complete mess. And they're not going to get out that way. So it is true that when your mind becomes more peaceful and your heart becomes more peaceful, it is easier to not spend all your attention to it. When your mind is in turmoil, it is very, very difficult to take your consciousness off of it. If you drop a hammer on your toe and it's throbbing, and I say to you, don't stare at your toe, get your consciousness off your toe, put it on your nose. It's really hard. If when there's nothing wrong with your toe, I say put your consciousness on your nose, it's the easiest thing in the whole world. Now you understand Tamas, Rajik, Sattvic. All right? That's exactly what it is. Tamas meaning darkness, depression, no energy. Rajasic meaning passion, desire, wanting, all that noise. And Sattvic meaning quiet, soothfulness. Those are the three states of nature, the gunas. So this is a major part of the Vedantic teachings, right? That nature has these states. You are the consciousness, the awareness. You know when the mind is causing trouble. You know when the heart is open or closed. You know these things because you're in there. If you devote your life, the lowest life you can live is to pay no attention to your mind and your heart or yourself, your inner being, but only pay attention to the world outside of you, whether it's unfolding in the way that will make you feel better when it comes in. That is the lowest life you can live. By definition, you're the furthest away from yourself that you can be. You're way out here messing around with other people. That's hilarious. I'm trying to be okay, so you do this. I'm trying to be okay by making you do what I want. You've done it, haven't you? All right? That's what we do with our relationships and everything like that. No. Next step, which is very good, wonderful step, is to step in and say, hey, it's my mind, they're my emotions, I'm going to get them together. And there's lots of techniques for doing this. And that's wonderful. And it is very wonderful compared to trying to use the outside world to fix you, because the outside world keeps changing and it's not going to fix you. At least you're working yourself directly. So I'm not knocking that. It's important. There are times where you're supposed to step in, your mind is going to start causing trouble, you work with it, you neutralize it, you do something with your heart starts to close, you work with it to keep it open. Totally natural. But that is not the highest work you can do. That is not the highest state. The highest state is to sit there and realize, I am not my mind. I am the one who notices my mind. I am not my heart. I am the one who notices the state of my heart. Somehow, if I can figure out, and I'd love to help you, if I can figure out how to cease being so interested in what my mind is saying, and cease being so interested in what my heart is feeling, that regardless of what it's saying or what it's feeling, I don't have to stare at it. I almost cried saying that. That's liberation. That's liberation. That's a jivan mukta. That's a liberated soul. Do you understand that? They are now free to explore beyond the personal self. They are free to explore beyond the personal mind and the personal heart. Is there a place beyond the personal mind and the personal heart? To me, that's like saying, is there something if I stop staring at the red card? Of course there is. The red card's in a given place in time and space. Your thoughts are in a given place in time and space. You think there aren't things above it, below it, on all sides, 3D, right? You have to go to other planes of reality. Are you going to sit there and say that the other colors are on other planets, on other planes of reality? No, they're just in places that you're not willing to look. It is the exact same part of your being that sees the red as the one that sees the orange. You don't have another sense. It is the exact same consciousness that is staring at your mind and staring at your heart that does not have to stare at your mind and heart, and therefore it sees everything else other than your mind and your heart. It sees the rest. You have the ability to see. You're a conscious being. Your consciousness is not limited to your thoughts and your emotions. Well, what is consciousness limited to? Nothing. If you are sitting there staring at the TV in your room, a little 24-inch flat screen, you're staring at it, then all you see is that. Your whole world is that. But if you say to me, if I stop looking at this, what will I see? Everything else. You'll see the whole rest of the room. You'll see outside the window. You don't have to go to another plane of reality. You don't have to be weird about it. You will see what's there. Well, why don't I see what's there now? Because you're staring at this little tiny piece. That's the importance of understanding what's going on. So it is not that you have to learn how to have out-of-body experiences and open your third eye and see other worlds. And no. I'm very grounded. I'm into that stuff at all. It's just another place to get lost in all this stuff, right? Let's get real. You are staring at your thoughts and your emotions, and you know you are. And you don't know how not to. All they do is shift, and you go with them. The mind says one word, you're off on a train of thoughts. Really, seriously, you don't know how not to look at your thoughts, especially if they're disturbing you negatively or positively. If they're saying, oh my gosh, she was so beautiful. Where'd she go? I want to be with her. I wonder what her number. I forgot to get her number. Oh my! You get serious about that. Or if it's sitting there saying, where is she? Maybe she's lying to me. How do I know? How do she tell me the truth? Oh my God, I can't live with that. Don't look at that. Good luck. You think you're supposed to look at that. I got to look at that. Right? It's the funniest thing in the world. So you are addicted to the negative and positive thoughts. You're addicted to the disturbed thoughts. Liberation, freedom, the real states of yoga, the real states, cannot begin and exist while you are caught, while you are fixated on your thoughts and your emotions. So the entire path, if you want to skip all the in-between steps, the entire path is how to not be staring at your thoughts and your emotions. Well, how do you do that? You first understand, why am I staring at it? Why am I staring? Especially if I dropped a hammer on my toe, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's going to throb for a while. The last place in the world I want to put my attention is on my toe. It's so silly. It doesn't help anything. It hurts like hell. Why am I doing that? Because you don't know how not to. If you had the ability to put it on your nose, you'd do it in a second and let the thing heal. Doesn't need you down there, but you don't know how to. Why? For the same reason that you keep staring at your thoughts and emotions. You stare at them because you are very interested in them. Why do you watch one TV show and not another? Why does one TV show suck you into it totally? You don't even know where you are. You lose your bearings in the room. Another one, you don't even want to sit down and even bother. Because one, you are interested in. You are sincerely, totally interested in what it's saying. And the other, you couldn't care less. So if you don't care, you don't stare. It's totally natural. If something's not interesting to you, you don't have trouble not looking at it, do you? If your mind is talking about things that are like the commercials on TV instead of the main programs, you wouldn't stare at the stupid thing. You'd listen to talk like this and say, oh, this is boring. Like, of course, I'm not going to look at that stuff. I'm not even interested. If the heart didn't interest you, they were just doing stupid things and just didn't interest you, leave me alone, I'm too busy. You just go about your business. But the truth of the matter is, and this is very deep, your mind and your heart are doing exactly what they're doing because those are the things that interest you. Was it a conspiracy? I guarantee you all the cards are stacked against you. If your mind is talking about something, it's because your heart has something to talk about. There's a part of your being that needs to express itself, and it is expressing itself through your thoughts. If you had an argument with somebody 3 days ago, and it didn't sit well with you, you might be eating your lunch by yourself in the cafeteria, and that argument's coming back up in your head. You're just chewing it right back over. Might as well be going on right now. There it is. Everything everybody said. Whoa, man. And I was nice to you. I said 3 days, 3 years. People get divorced. They hear all the arguments for the next 30 years of their life. So you wake up and realize the reason my thoughts are so interesting to me is because they're talking about the things that I had trouble with. They're talking about the things that I either really, really liked or I really didn't like, and those are what they're bringing back up, and that's what they're talking about. If in the whole universe there were 6,000 objects that you didn't care about, and there was one that you did, that one object would ruin your life. If you could handle everything, 6,000 things could happen, you couldn't care less. But if one happened, you'd freak out, you'd worry about that one until you had ulcers. But it's only 1 in 6,000, doesn't matter. You make it be 100% because it's the one you fixate on. So basically there's a part of your being where you have stored the past experience that you've had that were disturbing to you. And there's a part of your being where you stored the past experience you had that were really nice to you. Therefore, those parts where you stored it are trying to release. They don't want that stuff stored in there. And therefore your mind talks about them. It reminds you of them. It associates, free association with things that are going on. Remember I said the world comes in, it makes your thoughts and emotions be a certain way? That's why. When the world unfolds in front of you, you don't have the same reaction she does. You don't have the same reaction you had a week ago because there's different stuff stored in there. And so when it comes in, it stimulates what you have stored inside. If what it stimulates is negative, you feel negative. If it was positive, you feel drawn towards stuff. But either way, I don't care. If what it stimulated was negative, you're going to stare at it because you don't like it. You're going to fight with it. You're going to struggle with it. You're going to rationalize, justify. There you are, caught in your mind. If what it stimulates is positive, you're going to want it. I got to get it again. How do I get it? Should I call it? Same thing. Either way. So the stuff you stored in there is being stimulated by the world, and being stimulated by thoughts can stimulate thoughts, and pretty soon everything that's going on in your head interests you because it's talking about the things that interest you. If you sit there and talk to me about, oh, somebody's parents got divorced when they were 6 years old, you say, yeah, and if your parents got divorced when you were 6, and it's the worst experience you ever had, you ended up with this terrible stepfather, all right? If I just say these parents got divorced, they're in trouble. When the kid was 6, oh, you're freaked. Where? What? Who did? Is he okay? Is the kid okay? Can I meet him? Oh, you're very interested now, aren't you? What interests you is what's happened to you. Very personal. It's very personal. You've had past experiences. They were negative. They were positive. And they interest the heck out of you. And therefore, when they come up in the mind, and they will come up in the mind because it's trying to release them, and it will come up in the mind, it interests you. It's just like watching a TV show. Don't turn it off. Your ex-husband got remarried. To who? No, I'm busy. No, to who? To who? Is he miserable? I want to know if he's miserable. And all of a sudden you realize what's going on. That's why you're staring at your mind. That's why you're addicted to your thoughts. That's why you're addicted to the state of your heart. Because it is bringing back up, reacting to things that are interesting to you. And the only reason they're interesting to you is because you are the sum of your learned experiences. That's what Skinner said. Your mind, you're not, but your mind and your heart are the sum of the learned experiences. Your psyche is the sum of your learned experiences. Well, what else could it be? It's not the sum of the experiences it didn't have. Is it? That's not some great revelation that your mind is the sum of your learned experiences. What's it supposed to be? Your mind is the sum of all the experiences it didn't have. Well, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard of. If it didn't have the experience, it doesn't know anything about them. Here, I want you to go and do an analysis on the computer. Here it is. It's filled with data. I want you a full regression analysis, but don't use the data that's there. Use the data that's not there. Don't find other data. Just make sure you're not using the data that's there. You have to be a computer scientist to understand that's stupid. You can't do that. So it is the same thing inside yourself. Your mind is made up, thoughts in your mind and the feelings of your heart are made up of your past experiences. And therefore they come back up and they talk, and when things come in, they associate with them, and you're in trouble. Because the mind is very interesting to you, isn't it? What it's got to say is very interesting. And the concept of not paying attention to it when it says, well, I don't know where she is. She says she loves me, but I've been hurt before. That's not interesting, is it? Oh, you are very interested in that. You're like, all ears. What's it going to say next? Maybe it has a solution. You're like, wow, man. All right. I gained a pound. 1 pound today, 6 pounds tomorrow. Oh my God, what's happening to me? This is terrible. What did I eat? You're very interested in that, aren't you? There's no way you ain't looking at that. Okay. So while you're staring at it, you're in trouble. Why? Because it's trouble. It's just the sum of these experiences you had. And because it's trouble, it causes you trouble. And because you don't want trouble, you go out into the world and try to manipulate the world so people say only nice things to you. That's why you want to have power. If you're the most powerful person in the world, you don't have to worry about what people say to you. They're all in awe. Ooh. That's why you want money. That's why you want power. That's why you want looks. That's why you want everything. That's why you want a special person in your life that you trust will always say nice things to you. You want to be okay. I don't blame you. And so you try to manipulate the world. But I've already been down there. What is the method that works? And now we're talking deep yoga, deep liberation. What works? You start little by little. I've taught this before, but now we really got it down. Little by little, just like you learn to play the piano, just like you learn to play tennis, just like you learn math. You don't do it all at once. You little by little take really simple things, let's take the piano, like scales. That's how they start you, don't they? They start you with basic C scales, not even sharps and flats, just basic C, and you learn to move your fingers, learn to pay attention to the notes. You're just starting. You're starting. You got to start with simple stuff. Once you are good at that, you can shift to other keys. You can do different things. And little by little, when you're really good with the scales, you can try, 3 blind mice or something. All right, you start with simple pieces. And eventually you will learn to play the piano. Reasonably, I'm not saying you're going to be Mozart, but within reason, you will be, let's put it this way, eventually you'll be better than you were when you started. How's that? With probability that you can't be better than you were when you started. How about 0? There is no way you will not be better playing that piano over time if you practice your scales, if you practice the teaching techniques, and so on. All right. What do you end up with? The ability to play the piano. Good. I'm glad. I like the piano. You play the piano. I'm talking about taking that exact same methodology, starting simple, learning and growing, but what you're learning to do is be liberated. You're learning to free yourself from the bondage of this garbage that's going on inside your mind and your heart and forcing you to manipulate the world and worry about everything. I would like you to be free. I would like every one of you to be a Jivan Mukta, a liberated being, which you're capable of. So you start practicing, just like the piano, of how to free yourself. And you will always get better, just like you will always get better with the piano. All right? What do you mean, free myself? Right now, you are very interested in what your mind has to say. I told you that. I spent the whole talk lifting you to that state of realizing the mind is not the problem. Your mind is just expressing the garbage you stored inside. The problem is you're staring at the thing. The problem is you care about every word it says. She doesn't like me. What if she doesn't like me? Oh my gosh, she said she liked me, but people lie. I don't even know if I should call her back. Oh, isn't that fun? Are you having fun yet with your little cute little mind? No, it's not fun. It's neurotic. All right? Then you have to learn to not listen to your mind. Not change the world so the mind matches. Not change your mind so it always says nice things, though. You should do that work. There's nothing wrong with working with the world to make it somewhat nicer. There's nothing wrong with working with your mind and heart to make it nicer. I'm just telling you, that's not liberation. Don't put all your eggs in that basket. It ain't going to work. So how do I learn to play the scales of liberation? You start, just like with the scales, with the simplest of all things. You start with something that's unfolding in the world that comes in and it causes your mind to be disturbed. It causes your mind to get agitated, causes your mind to think something, and causes your heart to react. Sometimes people raise their hand and say, well, how will I find something like that? It goes on every second of your life. Every second of your life, something goes on that disturbs you. There's either a thought that disturbs you, an emotion that disturbs you, or something happened outside that disturbs your thoughts and emotions. A car drives by. It drives by and it goes by faster than you're going. That disturbs you. It starts to drive by, but it's in your blind spot, and it stays in your blind spot. That disturbs you. You got a lot to say about that. It doesn't use its blinker when you're behind it. That disturbs you. I want you to understand what I mean by disturbs you. It made your mind not be comfortable. It even said something. Your mind said something about it. My mind always wants to say, don't you know if you're going slower than traffic, you're supposed to be in the right lane? Oh, there's a good one. It gets disturbed by everything. How do I know it's disturbed? It said something about it. If it's not disturbed, it doesn't say squat. It doesn't talk about the white lines on the road. They're just white lines on the road. It doesn't talk about the clouds going by. So 99.999% of the world doesn't say a single word. 99.999% of the world comes in through your senses. Your mind doesn't say a thing. Trees, blades of grass, just all sorts of stuff. It just comes in and it goes through. And that's the end of that. But there's always that one that gets it going, isn't it? It starts talking. I want you, I am begging you, if you want to become liberated, and that's what yoga is about, liberation, union, this practice is true yogic practice, then you sit there and say, I'm going to become conscious enough so I'm aware that my mind got disturbed. And I'm going to start with the tiniest things in the world. I mean, they're so small that anybody could handle them. There's just somebody beeps at you. Somebody doesn't go off the light right away. The blinker, anything. Just the tiniest, stupid things. The fact that you just get your hair done, you walk out and a gust of wind blows it. These meaningless, tiny, stupid things that the only reason they bother you is because you said so. Why do you need to be bothered because somebody passed you at a certain speed? Why do you have to be bothered because somebody said something you couldn't hear it? It wasn't loud enough. They weren't even talking to you. Right? Why do you have to be bothered by tiny little things? Because you said so. If it is something that is only bothering you because you decided to be bothered, doesn't it sound stupid? But there are lots of those, aren't there? You get a little ketchup on your pants. You get bothered about going back to work. Just whatever it is. Those are equivalent to playing the scales. They are meaningless. They are harmless. There's nothing to do about the fact that the person in front of you turned without his blinker on. He already turned. What, are you going to go chase him? You're not going to do anything. Why is your mind talking about this? That is like playing the scales. You practice not being interested in the fact that your mind said something about that. All right? It sits there and says, hey, he didn't use his blinker. Just go, oh, you're still doing that, are you? Just play with it. Do something that gives you a distance from your addiction that every single thing the mind says you have to care about. No, you don't. It's only saying it because it didn't have anything better to do. Your mind normally is not happy. You're not happy underneath. You know that. You got all kinds of disturbances and problems and suppressions. Why in the world would somebody actually chase somebody who didn't use their blinker, pull out a gun, and start yelling at them? They do that. They even have a name for that, road rage. Why would you do such a thing? Because you have so much junk stored inside of you, so much pent-up energy, so much suppression, so much disturbance, that when something happens that your mind justifies it should not have happened, it becomes a gateway for all of this stuff to come up. It became a justification. But he should have used his blinker, I'm right. Okay? And the next thing you know, all the garbage of a lifetime is coming up through the hole of somebody not using their blinker. That is exactly what's happening. You need to become conscious enough to look at your mind in these tiny little things and practice not being interested. You practice not being interested. So you start with these little things. You say, well, what's the purpose? Because you learn to do your scales. You don't ask me what's the purpose of doing the scales. You'll find out when you learn to play the piano. All right? They helped your finger coordination. They helped your tone. There are a million things the scales do, isn't it? There are a billion things that accepting, releasing, not being interested in your mind's complaints about things that you could do nothing about are none of your business, and you're just getting interested in something you shouldn't be interested in. So you learn, it's called letting go. You practice letting go, not of the mind and not of the event, of your need to pay attention to the mind. You let go of your addiction to the mind. You let go of the urge that makes you watch it. You don't work in the outside world. You don't work in the mind. You work in the energy that's causing your consciousness to care what the mind is saying. And I've taught you the highest thing I ever learned. Well, how do I work with that energy? Relax. What do you mean? If I relax when the mind starts saying, and I just relax, I didn't engage. If you relax, you can't engage. It requires tension. It requires involvement to engage. If I relax, and then the next step I do is lean away. What do you mean lean away? It's talking somewheres inside. I'm watching it, but I'm relaxing instead of getting involved in it. Now I just lean back, lean away. That's it. You have now practiced not listening to your mind. And you do it with the next thing. Then you do it with the next thing. I'm telling you, you will free yourself. If you will do this every second of all the things that are meaningless, such as the weather. I always start with, that's the greatest one you'll learn. Why? You ain't changing the weather. It is none of your business. If it's windy, if it's rainy, if it's hot, if it's cold, it's what it is. You're welcome to go inside out of the rain and say to stand out of the rain, but while you are in the rain and it is raining, okay? And your mind can, it's rain, oh my God, it's raining. No, you're wasting your time because it ain't doing squat. I wish I had an umbrella. You don't. These are meaningless thoughts. You should not be paying attention to them. You need to practice relaxing and releasing in the face of this garbage that your mind is talking about. If you will do that, I guarantee you, when you get good at that, you will get good at the next layer. You will get good at the fact that somebody says something to you that offended you or that made you feel this or feel that. Okay? And all of a sudden you're going to find out, okay, they said it and it was hit and run. They said it and left. All right, they said it and left. I can either let it bother me till I see them again, or I can practice the way I did the weather. I can practice the way I did the person who breathed. I can let it go. Right now you can't, doesn't seem possible. But that's the same as if you don't do your scales, you're not going to play Beethoven. Seems impossible, doesn't it? There's no way you'll be able to do that. Yeah, there is. Lots of people have done it. But you got to start with scales. So if you do this every moment, that's where, to me, it's not on a yoga mat. It's every moment of your life. You are back there letting go. You are letting go, letting go, letting go. And then it gets bigger and bigger, and you let go, and you let go, until eventually you will reach the place where no matter what happens, ever, the first thing you do is let it go. And all of a sudden you realize you're okay, no matter what. You are unconditionally okay. Why? Because you can let go. If my mind starts freaking out about something and I can just relax and release, I'm not freaking out. He is. I'm not. And you just achieved a seat of equanimity, a seat of absolute well-being. And that's the only seat in the universe that is absolute well-being. You're never going to get this world to be absolutely well-being because nobody even agrees what that means. You're never going to get your mind or your emotions because they are temporal. They belong to the world. They were made by the world. They're programmed by the world. There is, Christ called it the peace that passeth all understanding. That's what we're talking about. That place of your being where you've let go from. Not what you let go of, where you let go from. All right? But to do that, you have to cease be interested in all your garbage. And it gets very deep. First you go through the personal interactions and this and that and the other thing, and then all of a sudden you realize you've built in your mind these philosophies of what you believe in and what you don't believe in and what you like and what you don't like, and you're arguing with people, or you don't like people who don't like what you like or that don't believe in what you believe in. You just realize, woo, that's just another thing the mind's talking about. And you just relax. I want to see you when you get to that state. When you're letting go of your self-concept, not just what hits it. Your mind doesn't need to be making up a you and then getting upset because people didn't accept you or because it didn't seem to balance. How does it feel when somebody says something, you do something that didn't fit what you normally would think you do? You get all embarrassed. It gets all weird in there, doesn't it? Like, oh, are you kidding me? No, I'm not. Like, oh, the mind will get disturbed. The mind gets disturbed. Id, ego, superego. They're all in there playing with each other. It's like Freud said. You're not any of them. Just relax. Relax and release. Don't I have to feel guilty if we do something wrong? It'll just make you do something more wrong. The more guilt you feel, the more messed up you are. What you need to do is feel, I would never do that again. I learned from that. That's not something that I have any interest in. It was the disturbance of my mind or my heart that caused me to do that maybe hurt another person or went out of balance. The question is not, should I feel guilty? I better feel guilt so I don't do it again. That's ridiculous. You have to have clarity so that you learn from the mistakes that you make. Guilt steals you. Guilt's of the mind and of the emotions. It's just like dropping the hammer on your toe. Guilt's a lot of fun to feel, isn't it? What you need to do is be able to let go of yourself. Let go. By all means, if you've done something that's out of balance, I guarantee you your mind made you do it. Your thoughts and your emotions made you do it. If you transcend, you get above that, you have remorse, you realize, there's a difference between remorse and guilt. You realize this was out of balance. I did this because I didn't keep my seat well enough. Then keep your seat well enough. But don't build guilt because of it. Anyways, I'm not going to get into everything. But eventually, all right, that was like playing Mozart, when you start letting go of that stuff, all right? You should be able to completely let go of every single thing your mind has to say. If you want to listen to your mind because it's helping with a math problem or solve some physics problem, that's your choice. You're welcome to listen to your mind, to use your mind, but no more addictions. And what you're going to find out is that personal mind is destructive. It's not constructive, it's destructive. Guilt, fear, anxiety, need, likes, dislikes. We're telling you what you want and what you don't want. You'll never be happy. You need this. You know you need this. You're not. God, the mind's amazing. You need to learn to not listen to your mind. You need to learn to relax and release to where the mind cannot pull you into it and the heart cannot pull you into it. And that one you all have trouble with. But aren't I supposed to follow my heart? It's just like the mind. It's just full of personal stuff. But what do you follow? Letting go. I follow what's left after letting go. Nitty. You just keep letting go. You let go. Remember, if you're not staring at the red, you see everything else. When you let go of yourself, what do you see? You can see everything. You'll know everything. You become a wise being, a seer. Because you're not lost in the limits of yourself, you can see the rest. And all of a sudden you make much better decisions. Relationships, finance, business, every single thing in your life becomes totally clear because you make it not clear, right? So this ability, I took you exactly where I wanted to tonight, this ability to realize, yes, there are many paths, many different things you can do, but the highest is when you learn not to listen to your mind. Not suppress it, not hate it, not beat it up, just you talk, I don't listen. I just relax and release. And all of a sudden everything starts working out. As it should, not as you want. You're going to start seeing the universe knows what it's doing, and you've come into harmony with it. And so it becomes a very, very different, completely different life. But you have to learn to not get caught up in your thoughts and emotions. Ever. There's no personal thoughts and emotions. They're welcome to be. They're welcome to be. But they are not who you are. You're the one that's experiencing them. Stay seated in the seat of self. Relax. And then all of a sudden the rest will happen, the much higher stuff. You will start to be able to experience the beauty of your own being. I started by talking to you about that. Now tell me what your life is like when you're feeling nothing but ecstasy pouring through your being all the time. Now go to work. Now get married. Now have a kid. Woo! It's fun. Because you don't need a single thing and nothing can bother you. All right. I hope you understand these things. That is the essence of the deep teachings. Jagrata.